Next example, we're given the equation y equals 2x, and we need to solve for y. And the first one is if x is equal to negative 3.5, right? For the first one, so we're dealing with fractions. So what do we do with that information first and foremost? If we're given x, what do we have to do here? We know that x is negative 3.5, so we're going to replace x in the equation with the value of it. We're given a value, right? A variable represents a number. Okay, so we know that y is equal to 2 times, right, negative 3.5. So I'm going to show you how to multiply fractions. How can I rewrite 2 as a fraction? What would it be over? What's anything divided by what doesn't change the number?
1.
Good. So this is actually 2 over 1, right? It represents the same thing. Now we have a mixed number. We have to turn that into an improper fraction, okay? When you're multiplying fractions, you have to have, we don't work with mixed numbers. We use improper fractions. So 2 over 1 times negative 3.5. Well, we need to, I'm just going to do this over here. How do we turn a mixed number into an improper fraction? Do you remember? We actually multiply the whole number by the denominator, and then you add the numerator, okay? Now, we're just going to leave this negative for now, okay? So we're just multiplying it by 3 times 2, so forget the negative right now because you don't include the negative when you're adding the numerator, okay? So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7, okay? And we know that if we were to take 7 and divide it by 2, we would get 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. This just indicates that this number, this value, is negative. So we'll put the negative in front of it, okay? I can write this as negative 7 over 2, or I can write it as 7 over negative 2, or I can write it as negative 7 over 2 with the negative sign in front. This all represents the same thing, right? Because I have a negative here and a positive. I have a positive here and a negative, and then this tells me that the number is negative. Okay, so we have to indicate that this value is a negative number. So we have y equals 2 over 1 times, and we'll put the negative with the numerator, okay, negative 7 over positive 2. Why don't I do negative 7 over negative 2? Why is that wrong? If I make both values negative, then this entire number becomes positive because a negative and a negative is a positive. So we only put the negative with the numerator or the denominator, not both, because if then you're changing the number to a positive. But we know that it's a negative number, right? Okay, so now what do we do when we multiply fractions? Do you remember how to multiply fractions? All you do when you multiply fractions is you multiply the numerators together. So 2 times negative 7 is positive, negative is
negative 14.
Negative, good, times 14. And then we multiply the denominators. 1 times 2?
2.
2. Good. And we can actually write this in lowest terms, okay? Our answer is negative 14 over 2, but to reduce that, negative 14 divided by positive 2, right? 2 goes into 14 how many times?
Twice.
14 divided by 2 would be
14 divided by 2 is
7. Good. So negative and a positive is negative, and the answer is negative 7. Okay?
Made with Doodlecast Pro.